Imagine walking into a casino with fresh cash, big hopes, and the spark of possibility buzzing in your chest. The lights flash, the reels spin, and every machine feels like it's whispering your name. But what if I told you there are certain slot machines, machines you've probably played, that were never designed to pay you back? I'm talking about silent traps hiding in plain sight, machines that look exciting, sound rewarding, and lure in thousands of players a day, all while quietly draining their bankroll spin by spin. And here's the part most people never hear. Former casino workers, floor managers, slot techs, attendants can spot these dead machines instantly. Not because they're rigged, but because the math, the placement, and the psychology behind them are engineered to keep you spinning long after your luck runs out. One ex-employee told me, if players knew how some of these machines behaved, they'd never touch them. So today, you're going behind the scenes. You're going to see the patterns, the traps, and the inside logic casinos hope you never notice. And once you see it, you'll never look at a slot machine the same way again. The silent machine problem the casino never talks about. Walk into any casino, anywhere in the world, and you'll notice something subtle, something most players walk right past without even realizing it. The brightest machines, the loudest bonuses, the ones drawing crowds with their animations and neon halos, often aren't the ones actually paying out. And here's the part most players never see. Some machines are engineered, by design, to look rewarding while quietly draining your wallet spin by spin. I learned this from an ex-floor manager who'd spent nearly 2 decades watching player behavior. He once told me, the slot machines that make the most noise usually have the least to give. And when you start looking closer, you realize how true that is. These machines rely on small, frequent false wins, payouts smaller than your bet, that trick your brain into feeling like you re-winning when your balance is steadily slipping away. Players stay longer. They bet faster. And the machine does exactly what it was built to do, keep you locked in. These aren't broken machines or illegal traps. They're simply optimized within the rules, but optimized to favor the house far more than the player. The first sign of a silent money trap is any machine that constantly flashes small wins while your credits keep dropping. If it feels like you're chasing instead of choosing, step away. The placement trick. Why the worst machines sit in the best spots. Casinos don't place slot machines randomly. Every square foot of the floor is designed with intention, and the machines with the lowest payouts often sit in the spots with the highest foot traffic. Walkways, entrances, escalator views, main aisles. These aren't just convenient locations. They're psychological pressure points. An ex-casino layout coordinator once explained it to me like this. If a machine looks exciting, sounds exciting, and sits where everyone can see it, it doesn't need to pay well. People will play it anyway. And that's the secret. These machines are there to capture quick decisions. Tourists, new players, people walking by who just had a good run on the tables and want to keep the streak going. These high-visibility machines are typically tuned with lower RTP, sometimes significantly lower, because they rely on impulse, not loyal players. Casinos know these players won't stay long, so they squeeze as much value as possible out of every spin. But here's the part most players never think about. The machines in inconvenient corners often provide better value because casinos don't need them to be flashy. They need them to keep regular players engaged. If a machine is placed right on a main walkway or near the entrance, assume it's not designed to favor you. The more convenient the location, the more cautious you should be. How sounds and lights trick you into thinking you're winning. If you've ever felt strangely hooked by a slot machine, even when you weren't winning, there's a reason. Modern slot machines use sound design and lighting psychology the same way theme parks use music to control your emotional state without you realizing it. A former slot technician once showed me a machine's internal audio table. Every sound was engineered: the coin drop, the upbeat jingle, the celebratory chimes. But here's the twist. Most of those winning sounds aren't tied to real wins. They're tied to events, near wins, bonus teases, even losses disguised as wins. Imagine betting $1 and hitting a 40-cent win. Technically, you lost, but the machine celebrates as if you just hit something meaningful. Bright flashes, cheerful tones, and that quick dopamine hit. The industry calls this a loss disguised as a win, and it's one of the most effective tools for keeping you spinning longer than you planned. The same goes for lights. Blinking reels, pulsing buttons, flashing side panels. They all create a sense of momentum. Even when nothing good is happening, the machine makes sure you feel like you're constantly almost there. But here's what most players never realize. The more sensory overload a machine gives you, the more studied its psychological hooks are. If a machine constantly celebrates tiny payouts or shows nonstop visual stimulation, it's not rewarding you, it's conditioning you. The one machine type even casino employees avoid. Ask any longtime casino employee which machines they personally stay away from, and you'll almost always hear the same answer. High volatility, low denomination video slots, especially the ones that look like arcade games. These are the machines with dazzling animations, 100 different symbols, and bonus rounds that feel like mini video games. They're fun, for sure, but they're also some of the most unpredictable machines on the floor. An ex-slot attendant once told me, "Those flashy penny video slots? They're entertainment machines, not money machines." What he meant was this. These games are engineered to stretch out your playtime with endless micro wins and bonus teases while quietly draining your bankroll in the background. You might spin for 20 minutes before hitting anything substantial, and by the time you do, you've often spent far more than you realize. These machines rely heavily on volatility, meaning the wins are bigger when they happen, but they happen far less frequently. To the average player, the machine looks generous because the bonus animations are dramatic. But the reality is the payouts come in long, unpredictable cycles. And here's something most players never consider. The more theatrical the bonus round, the more of the machine's overall RTP is tied up in that one feature, and the less goes into regular spins. If a machine looks like it belongs in an arcade rather than a casino, assume you're paying for entertainment, not returns. The cool-down cycle, casinos hope you don't notice. Every slot machine has a rhythm, an invisible cycle most players never detect. You might hit a bonus, a mini jackpot, or a decent line hit, and then suddenly the machine goes ice cold. Spin after spin, nothing. No bonuses, no near wins, just silence and slow credit loss. Most players think this is bad luck, but former casino techs describe it differently. They call it the cool-down cycle, the period after the machine has already paid out a chunk of its programmed return. And while machines don't remember wins in the human sense, their long-term programming does create peaks and valleys. When you hit a peak, the valley usually follows. I once watched a tourist hit a $600 bonus on a flashy penny slot. She was ecstatic, so ecstatic that she stayed seated. 45 minutes later, every bit of that win, plus more, was gone. The machine hadn't turned against her. It had simply returned to its normal payout behavior, slow, steady, and in favor of the house. Here's the part casinos rely on. After a big win, you're emotionally attached. You feel like the machine is hot, or that it owes you another bonus. But that's the trap. Machines don't run on emotion, you do. After any meaningful win, bonus or line hit, cash out and step away. Never ride the machine back down the mountain. The betting options trick. More choices, worse payouts. Some slot machines overwhelm you with options the moment you sit down. 20 lines, 40 lines, 100 lines, bet multipliers, side bets, bonus boosts. Feature plays. It feels empowering, like you have control. But here's the quiet truth ex-casino workers know well. The machines with the most betting options often have the weakest base payouts. Why? Because every extra feature has to be paid for somehow. When you add side bets, expanded reels, or boosted bonuses, the math shifts away from regular wins and into optional wagers, where players tend to waste the most money. I once heard a former slot programmer say, the more decisions you give a player, the more they'll spend without realizing it. Take a 1-cent machine with 100 lines. Betting 1 cent per line looks cheap, until you're suddenly betting $1, $2, even $5 per spin just to activate everything. And because the game expects players to use all features, the baseline return, without extras, drops significantly. The machine becomes a money trap for anyone who tries to play conservatively. But here's what most players miss. These machines rarely hit meaningful payouts unless you bet big. So you end up in a lose-lose situation. Bet low, win nothing. Bet high, drain your bankroll. If a machine feels like it's trying to upsell you, extra lines, extra reels, extra bets, walk away. Complexity is camouflage. Why old-school slots quietly outperform modern video games. There's a reason longtime gamblers and off-shift casino workers often gravitate toward older, simpler machines. The ones with 3 reels, clean pay tables, and none of the animated fireworks. These games don't scream for attention, but they quietly deliver something modern video slots rarely offer: predictability and higher average returns. A retired slot mechanic once explained it perfectly. Old-school machines don't waste their payout budget on graphics. What you see is what you get. No bonus animations that eat up RTP. No mini-games. No thousand-line pay structures. Just straightforward math. These machines usually dedicate more of their return percentage to actual line hits, which means you feel the wins more consistently, even if they're not massive. While modern machines rely on volatility and entertainment value, classic slots rely on steady play and cleaner odds. Players often overlook them because they don't look exciting. They're not flashy. They don't dance or explode or summon cartoon characters. But here's the twist: that simplicity is exactly why they deliver better value. Casinos don't need to squeeze every cent from them because they don't dominate the floor. You barely notice them. I once watched a regular sit at a $3 real one machine for an hour and walk away $300 up. Meanwhile, the video slot players nearby were firing off $3 spins and getting bonus teases worth pennies. If you want steadier returns, choose machines with fewer reels and no gimmicks. Simplicity protects your bankroll. The branding trap: how popular themes empty your wallet. Walk through any casino and you'll see machines themed after blockbuster movies, rock bands, TV shows, or nostalgic childhood characters. They're loud, colorful, and instantly recognizable. And that familiarity is exactly why casinos love them, because branded machines consistently rank among the lowest-paying slots on the floor. An ex-casino marketing director once told me, if a machine has a famous face on it, it's not there to pay players. It's there to sell an experience. Licensing fees for big-name brands are expensive, and casinos don't absorb that cost. They pass it to players through lower RTP and higher volatility. In simple terms, you're paying for the theme before you ever spin the reels. These machines rely heavily on excitement. Huge screens, cinematic animations, surround sound effects. They create emotional attachment, especially when the brand taps into nostalgia. And during that emotional rush, the last thing you're tracking is how fast your credits are disappearing. Here's the subtle trap: branded machines often tease bonus rounds constantly, making you feel like one more spin will finally get you the payoff you've been chasing. But big bonuses are rare, and small bonuses are structured to look impressive while paying almost nothing. If a machine has a famous brand stamped on it, assume you're paying extra for the label and getting less in return. Ever felt drawn to a machine simply because you recognize the theme? In the next chapter, we dive into the hidden math behind low-denomination games that look cheap but drain you the fastest. The penny slot illusion: why cheap machines cost you the most. Penny slots look harmless, friendly, even. You sit down thinking, I'm only betting a cent per line. What's the worst that can happen? But penny slots are one of the biggest financial traps in the entire casino because they not actually penny games at all. An ex-slot floor supervisor once told me, nobody really plays for a penny. Penny slots just let people lie to themselves. And it's true. The moment you spin, you're usually betting 50 cents, $1, sometimes even $3 without realizing it. Why? Because the machine requires multiple lines activated to have any real chance at hitting features. And those features are where the game hides most of its programmed returns. Penny slots also have the lowest RTP range on the floor, sometimes dropping into the mid-80% range. To put that in perspective, some table games hover around 98%. So while penny machines feel affordable, they statistically return less and rely on volume. Hundreds of small bets spun rapidly while your balance slowly melts. But here's what players rarely notice: penny slots are designed to produce more false wins than any other denomination. Small jingles, tiny payouts, frequent teases. They keep you spinning longer, even when you're losing on nearly every press. I once watched a player spend $300 on a penny machine thinking they'd only been playing light. They were stunned when they finally checked their wallet. If a machine advertises itself as a penny slot, but requires multiple lines to unlock features, treat it like a $1 machine in disguise. Why denomination matters more than you realize: most casual players never look at the denomination of a machine beyond the big 1 cent or 5 cent sign on top. But if you ask veteran players or ex-casino staff where they put their own money, they'll almost always point to one group: higher denomination machines. Not because they hit jackpots more often, but because they're programmed to return a larger percentage of your money over time. A former slot technician once told me, casinos give better odds to $1 and $5 machines because fewer people play them, and they don't rely on psychological tricks to keep you spinning. And he was right. A $1 or $5 machine might have an RTP several points higher than a penny game. That sounds small, but over hundreds of spins, it's the difference between staying afloat or burning through your bankroll. Higher denomination machines also tend to have simpler mechanics. Fewer lines, fewer gimmicks, fewer distractions. You're not paying for fancy graphics, you're paying for cleaner math. And cleaner math usually means steadier hits. But here's the part most players miss. You don't need to play big to benefit from higher denomination logic. Even a low-volatility 50-cent machine can outperform a flashy penny slot, drowning you in animations. Still, there's a catch. You must manage your bankroll properly, because each spin costs more, and that can drain you just as quickly if you're not disciplined. If you want better odds, move up in denomination only if you can afford shorter sessions and stick to a strict loss limit. The bonus round mirage. Why big features pay less than you think. Bonus rounds are the heartbeat of modern slot machines. Free spins, will features, pick-and-win games, jackpot ladders. They're flashy, loud, and undeniably exciting. But here's the truth ex-casino workers quietly admit. Bonus rounds often give the illusion of huge wins while consuming the biggest chunk of the machine's total RTP. A former slot designer once explained it to me like this. Players chase bonuses because they feel special, but most of the game's payback percentage is tied up in those features, so the base game is weaker, and the bonus usually underdelivers. That's why you'll often see a dramatic animation, huge reels, and celebratory music, only to end up with a payout that barely covers what you spent chasing it. Another thing most players never realize is how the machine teases bonuses. Constant near misses, sudden loud sound cues, and animations designed to make you feel one symbol away keep you spinning longer than the math justifies. I once watched a player chase a wheel bonus for nearly an hour, only to win $28 on a machine that cost $1.80 per spin. The biggest trap? Emotional momentum. When you finally hit a rare bonus, you convince yourself the machine is heating up. But in reality, you've just hit the part of the cycle where the payout is baked in. Never chase a bonus. If it doesn't come naturally within your planned budget, move on. A forced bonus is almost always a losing one. The just enough pattern, how machines keep you spinning longer. If you've ever played a slot machine that seemed to give you just enough to keep you going, but never enough to walk away ahead, you've experienced one of the most common casino design tactics, the sustain pattern. It's not designed to make you rich. It's designed to make you stay. A former casino analytics manager once described it like this. A good sustain machine doesn't let you win, but it doesn't let you leave either. These machines sprinkle in tiny hits, 40 cents here, 70 cents there, just enough to reset your emotional timer. You start thinking, okay, it's giving me something. Maybe the next spin is the one. But here's the twist. These micro wins aren't actual wins. They're small refunds on losing spins. And when you add them up, your bankroll steadily drains, even though you feel like you're breaking even. The sustained pattern often shows up after a long streak of losses, right when you're about to give up. The machine throws a small comeback when your way to pull you back into the cycle. I once saw a player down to their last $5 hit a $12 line win. They stayed another 40 minutes and left with nothing. These machines are the quietest traps on the floor because they don't frustrate you, they lull you. Track your session, not your feelings. If your credits haven't moved in 10 to 15 minutes despite frequent small hits, you're stuck in a sustained loop. Walk away. The progressive jackpot trap, big dreams, terrible odds. Progressive slots are the crown jewels of the casino floor. Towering screens, rising jackpot counters, glowing lights. They redesigned to make you feel like you one spin away from changing your life. But ask any former casino employee where not to put your bankroll, and progressive slots are often at the top of the list. Here's why. Every spin on a progressive machine siphons a portion of your bet into the jackpot pool. That money has to come from somewhere, and it usually comes from the machine's base payouts. A retired slot manager once told me, progressives aren't bad, They're just not good for players who want consistent returns. The base game is deliberately weaker, the bonuses are harder to hit, and the machine's volatility skyrockets the closer the jackpot gets to a must-hit range. Players often fall into the jackpot chase mindset, seeing a massive number at the top of the screen and thinking they reach closer to hitting it simply by playing longer. But the odds don't improve with time. Every spin is a fresh roll of the dice, and the vast majority of players walk away having contributed to someone else's eventual win. I once watched a man chase a must-hit by $500 progressive when it was at $497. He poured in $200, only for someone to walk up and win it with a single $2 spin. Only play progressives if you treat them like entertainment, not investment. If the jackpot isn't unusually high, don't touch it. The smart player mindset, your checklist for staying ahead. Now that you've seen how the worst-paying machines operate, the traps, the psychology, the design tricks, it all comes down to a simple truth. Smart play isn't about beating the casino. It's about not letting the casino beat you quietly. Every ex-employee I've ever spoken with says the same thing. The players who walk out ahead aren't the luckiest ones. They're the most disciplined. The real shift happens when you stop playing emotionally and start playing intentionally. When you understand that loud machines, flashing bonuses, penny slots, progressives, and giant branded screens aren't there to help you. They're there to keep you spinning. And once you recognize that, the casino floor starts to look different. You stop chasing. You stop hoping. You start choosing. Here's the mindset the pros use. Set a session budget and stick to it. Choose higher denomination, low volatility machines if you want steadier returns. Walk after any meaningful win. Don't let the cool down cycle take it back. Avoid machines with too many betting options. Complexity hides low returns. Never chase bonuses or jackpots unless you planned for it. Play for entertainment first, money second. I once watched a regular walk away from a $300 win on a $1 machine without hesitation. When I asked why, he smiled and said, "Because the machine did its job. Now I'm doing mine." Make your exit decision before you sit down. Emotion never beats math, but discipline can. At the end of the day, the casino floor isn't built around luck, it's built around psychology. Every sound, every light, every placement choice, and every bonus tease is designed to keep you spinning just a little longer than you planned. And the machines that never pay out aren't hiding in the shadows. They often the ones right in front of you, looking the most exciting. But now you understand the traps. You know how the cycles work, how the payouts disguise themselves, and how the flashiest machines often offer the worst value. You've learned the insider patterns that ex-employees spot instantly, the very patterns most players never see until it's too late. What you do with that knowledge is what separates smart players from emotional players. Smart players set limits. Smart players walk away after a win. Smart players recognize the difference between entertainment and expectation. And now that you're one of them, the casino floor becomes a different world, one where you stay in control. If you learned something new today, tell me, which slot machine trap surprised you the most? And if you want more insider breakdowns just like this, you know what to do.